I'll start with the DXCC certificate and some of the requirements to obtain one of those. And toward the end of this presentation, we're going to talk a little bit about Club Log and how to use that to help track the stuff to keep up with this. Mike was first licensed in 1961 down in LaGrange, so he's a Georgia boy. Been on some DXpeditions. I guess he highlights in his QRZ page the PJ2T International DX Contest in 2009. And for those of you that don't know the significance of that call down at the station in Curacao, just off the coast of South America, is the most logged call sign for the last 14 years. Think about that a minute. Mike enjoys chasing DX and contesting, always glad to swap QSL cards. He's been the treasurer of the Southeastern DX Club for a number of years, president of the Southeastern DX Club when I started attending on a semi-regular basis, 17, 18, and vice president last year or two. Has been president and is currently vice president of Gwinnett Amateur Radio Society. Other interests he has are photography, and I found out when I did the estate and radio inventory thing, and we talked about other items, he has an extensive collection of ink pens. And he told me a few minutes ago they were for sale. So
I would rather be selling than collecting right now.
So, Mike, take it away.
Thank you. I think where you've covered it fairly well. We're going to try to talk about DXCC, how to get it, some of the tools that augment your chase, and we'll take a dive into, if everything works well, we'll take a dive into Logbook of the World and into Club Log real time with this thing. How many of you have a DXCC certificate already? You can leave. What it is, it's a certificate awarded by the ARRL when you've worked 100 DXCC entities. We don't call them countries because they get to be an entity by some of the most arcane rules that were ever devised. The same folks that invented Pinochle came up with some of these rules. Like Puerto Rico is an entity. Alaska is either an entity or a state, depending on which contest you're in. Hawaii is an entity. They sort of have to be semi-self-governing or a certain distance away from the mainland. Some of those things, but we've got entities such as Scarborough Reef, which is just 3 rocks that stick up out in the middle of the South China Sea. That to operate from, you got to build a scaffolding over the rocks to sit on. That one's pretty controversial now. A lot of us would like to get rid of it because, one, nobody can go there anymore. The Chinese are building an island in that area, and they're rather protective. But anyway, when you get 100, you can get an award, a certificate suitable for framing. And the first one is usually the mixed mode, where you've got some CW contacts, some phone contacts, some RIDI, any combination that gets you to 100 entities. And then you can specialize and get one for phone, or one for CW, or one for digital, and then you can subspecialize. You can get one for each band that you 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters, 17, 12. Got a 5-band DXCC. So it's always another challenge that you can introduce for yourself and give you a reason to get on the radio on the weekends. that's what one looks like. That was the first one I ever got. I started at the top. This was during a good sunspot cycle, though.
No doubt.
10 meters, and then 15, 20, 40, and 80 in that order. Still need 5 on 160, which I may not live long enough to get. And then the specialty ones, the CW and the teletype certificates. They're not bad looking certificates. And what I'm going to say applies pretty much equally to worked all states. You can get a worked all states using these same procedures. Notice that one though. I'm kind of proud of that one. That was 6 meters. One Sunday afternoon, sitting there, band was open to California, Washington State, and then Alaska started coming down in the Aleutian Islands, just about the same latitude as Washington State. Then another weekend, Hawaii just popped in. It's the magic band, and it really was magic. How do you get to 100? Well, you need to sort of figure out who's going to be on today, or this week, or this month. And I noticed on your website, you've got a link to DX World, where they've got a calendar, and the calendar days are on the bottom, and then you can see which stations are going to be on when and for how long during that month. That one's kind of one of the most useful free tools that you could have. You can subscribe to the ARRL Bulletin, DX Bulletin. It's published by Bernie McKinney, W3UR. Or you can subscribe to his newsletter, which comes out either weekly, or you can get an email daily, which anybody that's going anywhere calls Bernie and say, hey, I'm going to be in Morocco from the 5th to the 12th. And he'll put it in the newsletter and sort of tell you when they're going to be there, what kind of station they're going to have, how to QSL, get a QSL card from them, that sort of thing. And he offers a 2-week free trial if you're interested. I don't get anything from Bernie, but just a satisfied customer.
I just renewed my daily and weekly subscription a couple of days ago.
Yep, we must be about on the same wavelength then. Mine came to you. How you get to 100? Well, the largest part of it is the button chair. You got to be in front of the radio and listening. The weekend contest, the worked all prefixes, the CQ Worldwide, the RIDI, the sideband, the ARRL DX contest, those things are well designed to give the U.S. operator a leg up. The DX stations get more points for working us than they do for working each other. So the secret is to get on during the contest and let those big gun stations do the work. They've got big antennas, they've got fancy equipment, they're running the maximum and then some legal power in their countries. 5,000 watts in Croatia, I think, is sort of the exciter level.
Yeah.
But with 100 watts in a wire and a bit of patience, you can get to 100 rather quickly. As Norm was pointing out on the way over here, FT8's been a game changer. You can get on FT8 now. It's a weak signal Joe Taylor mode with 50 to 80 watts and work DX just about on any band, anytime.
The hard part with that one though, that FT8, you can set that up and not even be there, and it'll be making contacts for you just right along, and that's not really good.
You got to push the button. You got to push the button to initiate the contact, but probably a fancy macro would
Yeah?
wouldn't let it come across.
Okay, go ahead.
But the Pitcairn Island was just the most recent group that I can think of,
Yeah.
and this used to be a rather rare entity. There have been several operations that put it on the air in the last 10 years, but it used to be one guy there who was a ham, and Fletcher Christian's great-great-grandson, Tom Christian. Fletcher was the guy that led the mutiny on the Bounty. So all of the descendants, all of the folks on the island now are pretty much descendants of the Bounty folks. So you call VP6R ND4V, and he comes back, and you hear wrong V. Did he answer me? Was that me, or was that WA4ZXV that he called? Well, the timing was right. I gave him $5.99, and he came back and said, "Thank you." The timing was right, but darn, I'm not sure if that was me he called. So did it really work him? Well, Google the call, and if they've got a DXpedition of any size, it'll come up and show you their website. And on their website, you can see whether or not they have an online log. If they've got an online log, then you put your call letters in, and 24 hours later, usually, you put your call letters in, and get a check mark by that band and that frequency. You say, "Phew, I'm in the log." If you didn't, you work them again. And if they're... Yep.
One comment, you were talking about working the contest. What was it, a couple of weeks ago, we had the CQ Worldwide DX Sideband Contest. I spent about 12, 13 hours on the air. I made 283 contacts in 72 countries. There were 3/4 of the DXCC
Yep.
in parts of 2 days.
Yep. And most of the big DXpeditions now use Club Log, which is a website that's run by an English fella, and they upload their logs to the website just probably every day if they can. If they've got satellites, they're not some herd island place where the satellites don't even come over. But they've got satellite communications, they upload their logs, and you can check to see, am I in the log? Club Log is free, just a little plug for them. And so you go to the www.clublog.org, and you look up in the right corner and you see expeditions. And they give you a list of about 50 most recently active. So you see VP6R, they last uploaded on November the 1st. They've had 82,700 QSOs, of which 20,491 were unique. And remember this OQRS in the little the grocery buggy there. We'll come back to that. So, did I work him? Am I in the log? Well, Steve was in the log on 15 and 20 meters, 2 check marks. So he could rest easy and not have to chase them on those 2 bands again.
My $5 collection of envelopes and cards and stamps, the previous time they were down there, came back NIL.
Not in log.
Yeah. This made me very happy.
That Photoshop?
That is real.
So how do you, after you've worked them, and you've worked them because you've looked at, and they said you were in their log, how do you get the card, or how do you get the confirmation that the ARRL will accept for this award? Well, their website will tell you. They'll say, we're using a QSL manager like W200, and yeah, it'll say your card, but they don't want your card. I mean, they don't need another Georgia card. So if you just write it on a piece of paper, when you worked them, what band, what time, basically same information that would be on a QSL card. What they want is the $5 to help pay for that that trip that they just took. It cost $500,000 to $700,000. And then the third thing that the big DXpeditions are all using now is the OQRS, the Online QSL Request System. You remember that little golf cart or the buggy, grocery buggy on Club Log? If you click on that buggy, if the call sign has the buggy back, and you click on it, it'll open up the contacts that you made with them, show the band. What they want you to do is fill in the date and the time, and then when you hit the PayPal button to give them the $3 that they usually want, it generates automatically a notice to their QSL card manager, which generates a label that he can just stick on a card and get ready to put in the mail to you. So it really takes the work out of the QSL process for the DX station, and it speeds the delivery of the card to you by months. And most of them now will automatically go ahead and give you the Logbook of the World update the next week or so after they get your donation. If you don't, if you're not in a hurry for the card, you don't want to make the donation, click the card, fill in the date and time, and check the little box that says Bureau, and then sometime 6 months to 2 years later, you'll get a card from them. That's one of the requirements. They can't hold your ransom. They can't hold the card ransom for a donation. They have to use a bureau process.
I've been a QSL manager before that, and it's a pain in the butt.
Yep. So, you got the 100 pasteboards, or you got the 70 Logbook of the World and the 30 pasteboards. And what do you do now to get the application? Well, 3 ways. You can, now this is DXCC, Worked All States works just a little bit different. Worked All States doesn't have the online option yet. But there's a place on the LRL website where you fill out online who you worked, what band it was, the date, the time, the mode, and you're basically doing their key punch for them. You list every station that you've got a card for. Then you either take that card to a DXCC card checker, which I'm one of, or you mail those cards with the application and that sheet to the ARRL headquarters, and when they get it, if they see my name on there and the little stamp that says verified by, then they just push the button and it all moves over into Logbook of the World for you. And you've done their key punch, and all they've got to do is press the button, because it's sitting on their server where you filled it out to start with. The traditional, the paper and pen with QSL cards, we're seeing less of that now, but if you've got 30 Logbook of the World or 70 Logbook of the World and 30 pasteboards, this one of these 2 is going to be the answer on how you get to 100. You do the logbook first, would be my recommendation, and let them go ahead and say, okay, we credit you with these 70 just automatically. And then I think on the application there, it says I'm submitting cards in addition. There's a little check box for it. Then you get the paper checked or send them the cards and get the other 30. But the best way is to get all 100 of them in the logbook of the world, and then you get ready to submit. You just highlight the band or the mode or the challenge for everything and push the button. It tells you how much you're going to owe, and if you want a certificate, another $14, and you feed your credit card number in, and you're off and running. About a week later, 2 weeks later, at most, you get a certificate in a little pasteboard tube in the mail. That's the slickest way. Okay, yeah, they say, yeah, that's the link to the online application. Pay close attention to your data entry, because if it doesn't match the card that you've provided, as a card checker, I got supposed to use a green pen and mark through it and say, sorry, nope, that one didn't count. One of our DX club members always says he got mad because Valdosta didn't count as South Georgia, but that's the way it goes. So after you get your online application done, as I said, you bring those cards to a card checker, me or Bill Barr, and we check them off, look at them, and send in the paperwork. That's what the traditional sheet looks like. Yep, totally automated. And of course, I'm making the assumption that you've got TQSL and Logbook of the World working on your computer, and that you're using some sort of logging program that will produce an ADIF file that TQSL can encode and upload to the logbook. So there are some special situations. What if you operate from home, a beach house and a mountain house, all within the same DXCC entity, WRK, USA, but you don't use the slant portable 4, portable 7, portable 3, whatever designator. What you really want to make sure is that the station who's getting your confirmation on the other end gets the correct grid square, gets credit for the right county and the state and CQ zone and ITU zone. So how you do that, I used our club, Gwinnett Club, W4GR as an example. We've got a location set up inside Trusted QSL, TQSL, for our field day site, for our club meeting site at Briscoe Field, for the National Park on the Air that we activated out at Abbott's Ford. And one year we got a wild hare in the Georgia CUSO party and went down to Greene County and activated it. So each of those, when they give me the log and I say, where were you? I make sure that this information is correct, and usually one of those 4 things are going to get it for us. So I guess y'all know that all of your worked all state contacts have to be made within 25 miles of each other, is what it says. So you pick your location wisely there. Mobile is the toughest. It's you probably want to use one location code for mobile that doesn't count. It doesn't have any grid or location in there unless you're pretty sure that your logging program can capture the grid square that you're in while you're mobile or something. Multiple calls. Say you do go out to PJ2T and operate down there. They're a SEPT member, which they've signed on to a treaty that allows U.S. amateurs who have a general class or extra class license to operate from their island using PJ2 stroke your home call, PJ2 portable ND4V in my case. Multiple calls, such as operating from another entity with the portable designation, or even in the States, if you operated as portable 4 or portable 7, you want to keep those separated from your other regular logbook calls. Or you operate from a foreign entity using a call sign that you got from their government. You took a test in Italy and got an Italian call sign. Then each of those multiple calls would have to have a separate TQSL certificate. And that's a whole nother hour's presentation on, I wish my banking software was secure as the logbook of the world. Any questions so far? Y'all want to see if we can? Yes, sir.
I just got kind of like two questions. If when these remote operating remote stations, like say you come down south for the winter and you got a station up in the mountains, I'm not even sure how you're supposed to ID. I'm not sure. I mean, if the person in Florida was operating a station up in the mountains, I mean, I guess you're supposed to say /, but you're not. You're same call. You're just not the control. You're not there controlling it. How does that affect it if it does?
You're not required to identify any differently. You still just identify with your call letters. For DXCC, as long as you're operating within the United States, it doesn't matter where you are within those states. It counts.
You may be in Florida, but the station is within.
Yeah, it still counts. There's a lot of. No, don't have to.
But if you're working for work all states, that doesn't apply.
If you worked all states, then if that remote station is more than 25 miles away from the other contacts that you've made, then you do need to differentiate, the location, set up a new location in TQSL for that remote station and log those separately. But that's a subject of a lot of controversy.
Yeah, it's kind of a new situation with me, so just.
Yep. There's no way to know or to enforce the remote or to prevent remote operations. So it's sort of a gentleman's. What's important to you? What do you get out of DXing? What do you want it to mean to you? Situation. Contesters, if you're in the morning, you're using a Vermont remote, work in Europe, and in the afternoon, you're using a Washington State remote, work in Japan. Yeah, legal, but the contest rules haven't figured out how yet to address that situation. Any others?
The WAS mileage limit, has that always been 25?
Yep.
Or did it used to be 50?
I think it's always been.
Seems like it used to be 50.
All right, logbook of the world. Let's get rid of that so you can see it. like I said, this is assuming you've already got TQSL working and that you've uploaded some QSLs. You can see as you log on. I have 37,000 QSOs in the logbook of the world and 23,000 matches, which one of the ways you get to 100 quicker is work the teletype or digital contest. Those guys, by virtue of the fact that they are doing digital communications, they're already computer savvy, and 75% of them are going to upload the logbook of the world the minute the contest is over. Let's see, what was I going to show you? You all know how to check to see if you've got any. We'll go to your QSOs, maybe. Got timed out. All right, your QSOs. Let's go.
You can bring your size back down.
That's just fine. It's not seeing my finger. Here it goes. There we go. Let's look at my most recent DXCC activity and see if I have any new QSLs. I was in the contest where Steve made 283. I worked a good bit of that, but didn't get any new ones out of it. So no check marks out there.
You won't see any CW in my law.
Yet.
I'm working on that.
We can fix that. Normally you'd see a lot more CW in mine, but that was the contest weekend. I made 147 Qs that weekend. Wasn't
Well, it was a sideband contest.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so
Show the other half of that, QSOs.
The next button.
No, the QSOs, not QSLs.
you mean most recent?
Yeah, most recent QSOs.
All
That's
right.
showing you the ones that aren't matched.
Yeah. Sao Tome and Principe, S92HP was on F8, FT8. I needed them on 17 meters. There was a fellow, Charles, that worked for Voice of America, S9SS, that was on from there for years. And he filled up most of the need for that. You could work Charles on any band that he decided to work, because he was using an antenna strung between two Voice of America towers. And a darn good operator too.
But the ones that don't have anything on the right, they're either not gonna report or they haven't reported yet, so they don't
Yeah.
count.
Yeah, the VP6R, the two contacts there with them on 30 meters. That first one was, I called him and he might have answered me, but it was first call and I never get him on the first call, so it surprised me so bad that I didn't even go back to him. But so I waited about 30 minutes and called him again. Actually about 15 minutes. Called him again, and that time I definitely heard my call and got 599, and it did show up on a logbook, a club log as a 30-meter contact. So that was one I needed, a new one for me, and they'll They haven't activated the OQRS button on their club log yet, but I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's coming.
it'll come. So I just set aside $5 for that one when when it does. All right.
I'll hold it for you.
Okay. You
Gee, what a friend.
he really is good to me. And when you get ready to make an award application, let's come over and look at the DXCC. Is it working? Okay. All right, there we go. There's the little button for application. So,
What's that stuff on the screen?
well, that's sort of where I stand right now. The ones with the stars by them, I have DXCC on that already. Like I said, at 95 on 160 meters. I would like to get to 2,000 in the challenge this year.
Show the challenge button.
Explain what the challenge is,
All right. That little box that I showed for you for VP6R,
Yep.
where you had 2 check marks. If you had 27 check marks there, you worked them on every band, every mode, that would add 27 to your challenge score. It's band slots, basically. How many band slots you filled.
Click on your challenge button and let's see what it looks like. And that's how many, the entities listed on the left, and that's how many, that's a piece of how many he's worked.
That's showing, these are the pending credits, not
Okay,
the ones I haven't,
show all.
hadn't paid for yet. You go over to all, come on. And you go to all, and you can see Afghanistan, I have them on 3
20,
bands.
15, and 12.
And yeah, it's hard to. You get down, the top 10 most needed, those will be blank rows for me. Still need a bunch. But to make an application, if I went back to this little button over here on the side where it says application, come on. There's where I can go through and I can say check all, or I can say I just want to apply for all the digital ones and then we get all of them in that column. Or I can say I want to get all of them in the challenge column. After I pick one of those categories, or if I just wanted to apply for the Jordan guys, then I could just click on the JY5 and get credit for just the 17 meter and the challenge. But I usually update my application or my totals toward the end of November so that it'll get in the DX magazine that comes out at first of the year. But that's the way it works. After you click one of those buttons, it'll take you to another page where it's calculated the 10 cents or 15 cents per QSL, and ask you if you want a certificate or a pin or make a donation or whatever. Fill in your name and your credit card, hit submit, and off it goes. So it's pretty darn easy to do that.
You said 10 cents per card, is that an
Well,
average or?
Through Logbook of the World, I believe, I'm thinking it's now a flat rate plus 10 cents a card. Logbook of the World is the cheapest way of submitting cards.
Mhm.
The application page on the traditional and the online, it'll show you the cost.
But you don't have to pay anything until you want a certificate.
Mhm.
Logbook of the World is free to look at your contacts and your accredited contacts.
Correct.
Until you want a certificate, you don't have to pay anything. So I think I paid for the DXCC, that one once. And I've not bought any of the others because they haven't really completed them. And I don't think I can afford them. But you don't have to pay anything, and you can still see all of these reports. You just don't get a printed certificate or acknowledgement for it, but it's there. You don't want to scare people off, Mike.
True. Now let's see. If you're wondering, another way of checking to see if you're in the log, say you think you work PJ2T. So I've gone over to the tab at the top that said Find Call, and I put in PJ2T, and let's say look for the call sign.
Now, that's in your log, right?
This is asking when is the last time that they uploaded.
Oh.
So the last time he uploaded was on October the 28th. So if I worked him before October the 28th, then I don't have a match. I wasn't in his log. So, or I typed it wrong, or the times have to match within like 15 minutes of each other. I think they've got a, if you're logging in Eastern time and the other guy's logging in GMT, I think they sort of look to see if there's a 5-hour difference or time zone difference there, but it's better you log in GMT. All right, any more questions on logbook? Anything you want to see?
If you are making a contact and you wait for so long a time, how long can you wait and still have it be recorded?
Doesn't make any difference. I've got some that were probably 6 years old when I first started Logbook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just going to look at your little database compared to the big database and see if it finds
they match.
two that match. And doesn't matter when either one of you entered.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of
The entry date doesn't matter, it's the
Right.
contact
It's
date that it matches.
date and time that and call signs that it's matching on. A lot of the DX stations, not as many DX stations are using Logbook of the World as US stations. ARRL, if you apply for a logbook certificate now, they can go into the FCC database and confirm that you got a license and verify that you are who you say you are and your address is correct. DX stations have to submit written copies of their license because there's no central database where ARRL can go and look them up. So that's been a sort of a deterrent that's kept a lot of the DX stations from using Logbook of the World. But still, I'm getting about a 60% overall return of matches on logbook. Part of that's my operating style. I see somebody calling CQ and my logging program doesn't have the little plus sign by them that says they're a Logbook of the World member. I might just tune on up the band a little bit. Okay, we'll try Club Log. If you go to the www.clublog.org, this is their opening page, and I'm logged in. They do want you to create an account. It doesn't cost anything. I don't get any spam or any advertising, and I don't think they've sold my email address to anybody. But they want you to have an account, and that's for a couple of reasons. As you get into DXing, you can upload your log into Club Log, and it'll do the same matching steps that Logbook of the World does. And in fact, there is a link that you can link the QSOs that you've uploaded to Club Log. You can link those to Logbook of the World, and they'll transfer over to Logbook of the World. It's described to do it. I haven't done it yet, but it's got a good explanation on how to do that. Now, as we talked about, looking at the expeditions, the VP6R, that was the one I used with Steve's call. Let's do mine. I was a little luckier. Them CW, that CW stuff, that's that noise you hear down at the bottom end of the band.
Do one that everybody in here will appreciate. K4BBH. It's the guy that was sitting on the corner. There he is. He came back.
You don't recognize code yet?
Some codes.
There he is. Yeah, I would have liked to have had those, and that one, in fact. My little offsetter fed Wyndham
Wasn't talking to him that way.
don't play that well to the South Pacific. Club Log offers a lot more than just the ability to look up. Am I logged in? Come on. There we go.
Show the club thing, club moves.
All right.
Something else that keeps up with it.
Okay. League tables. It's easier to read from the screen.
Probably,
Yeah, club. If your club will go on the Club Log and set up an identification for Silver Comet ARS or AR.
Scars.
Get yourself established as a club. Then as members upload to that, y'all can have a little friendly competition among yourselves as to who's what, who's the big dog.
There's CW Ops.
Where's SEDXC?
See, that's number 24.
That's
Jobs.
some guys you will know.
There we
47.
are, 47.
47. All right, Southeastern
We had
DX.
50 members reporting. The
All right, kind of disgusting. Yeah, the first 5 there, 3, 4, 5, 6, first 6 have worked every entity there is, including North Korea and yep.
Number
I'm down.
13, number 13 is Jeff, who was here last month.
Jeff Cantor, yep, K1ZN. So it shows you, highlights where you are in the pack.
just about as many years as anybody.
This is the president of CW Ops, Mac Vaden McDonald in N4K.
Every entity, 300.
Every one of them.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yep. Is Bill Gates? No. N4NX. I don't see his, but Bill Barr, N4NX, has also every one of them. And he's worked all counties in the United States twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff told the guys last month that he has 5 band worked all counties.
Oh, my goodness.
That's
Think about that one.
Yeah.
There's 3,100 or so counties.
yep.
I'd rather.
He got them all on all 5 bands.
Some of them don't even have any people in them, too.
Yeah.
All right, so who the most wanted? Who the most wanted countries now?
North Korea?
Yes, it is the People's Republic of North Korea,
Bombay.
Bouvet Island, number 2.
We ever gonna get an expedition there?
Well, the Polish guys are collecting money again, so we'll see.
Boy, Mother Nature needs to be nice.
Yeah.
The last trip that those guys made, a storm came along and took the top section out of the ship.
They could end up dying there.
They could. The group before that,
That's sad.
local Bob Offen group, has 2 motors, 2 propellers. They lost a motor and propeller, so they were sitting in the water with 60-mile-an-hour winds whirling around them and 20-foot seas and icebergs. So they decided time to go home. And on the way, the belt that was driving that other propeller broke. So they did have a spare and got it fixed, but they limped back to South Africa. I think a lot of them were hugging the ground when they got there.
Yeah.
This is kind of surprising. Peter One Island. There have been 2 expeditions to there. It's a little island just off of Antarctica in those roaring 60s latitudes down there. Nasty weather. When the second expedition went there, but between the first and the second one, they said that more people had walked on the moon than had walked on that island. Not an often visited place. This one is going to be interesting too. SV Portable A, Mount Athos. It's on the island. It's on the continent, European continent. A mountainside in Greece that's totally run by monks. And Monk Apollo just died. He was the number 3 in charge of the monasteries. And there is another monk with a license there, but we're not sure that he's gotten the permission of the governing body of Mount Athos to operate from there.
That's on the top of a mountain down there.
Yeah.
I've flown over that. that monastery down there. We used to do that going into Athens, Greece.
And it's an interesting number of hams have offered to go there and operate DXpedition style, but they would never grant permission. No women are allowed within the confines of the monastery of their protectorate. So you take those top 10s, and those are the ones I do have Peter 1, but for the most part, those are the ones that I still need and may always need. One more would get me on the honor roll.
What's the honor roll?
When you've achieved DXCC and you have gotten within 10 of working the mall, which since there's 340 to be within 10, you got to be at 331 now. So then you qualify to be at the top of or on the honor roll. If you've got them all, you're top of the honor roll designation. And of course, as new countries come along or some are deleted, your status as being DXCC honor roll can change. Yeah, they did away with Kingman Reef a couple of years back.
Oh, really?
And folks who had Kingman Reef lost credit for it.
Yeah.
They could have dropped off the honor roll when they did that.
So you're at like 320, 325, something like that?
I'm at 330.
330.
Need one. Marion Island
And
was.
how long have you been doing this?
Got serious about it in about 2006.
About 13 years.
Yeah. Didn't have an amplifier until then, and that has made a big difference in.
Definitely work.
Yep.
But the other day, I have an amp, but the other day, I had the amp in standby and heard somebody I wanted to work, I think it was a VP6, and with 20 watts on CW I worked them. I didn't realize that until I looked after I'd worked them, and I didn't have the amp on.
Was it on 30? 30 meters?
Probably.
Yeah. 30 is very easy on CW on that. Yeah.
I've clicked on the propagation button, and it's asking me source DXCC, and that was USA, and now I'm looking at destination. So let's look at Bhutan. And let's look at November. And we'll accept all that. Run propagation report. So what it gives you is what stations have reported logging Bhutan, and what time and what frequency that they were. Nobody has reported them on 6 meters. On 10 meters, between 13 and 14 Zulu, that's before I get up. 7, 12,
8, 9 o'clock.
10 o'clock. That 10 meters you might have a shot at them. Looks like 12 is a better shot. 15, we're getting from 240 QSOs. 17 surprising. You'd think as you got down in frequency, you'd see more. 20 looks like the money band, and again between 11 and 12, about 7 in the morning GMT, 7 in the morning local, would be your best shot for trying to work into Bhutan. So this is a handy especially when there's a big DXpedition on and lots of folks are uploading their logs here, you can actually see by band, when to concentrate, what times of the day to concentrate your activity.
And under the expedition itself, there's a button you can click on that specifically tells you about that expedition. Fills in some of the blanks.
Let's see. How much time have I taken? Enough. All right. Any club blog power users that know of something I should tell you?
A neat thing about it, if you don't get anything else out of it, if you upload your logs to them, and this doesn't cost anything, you upload your logs to them, they'll analyze your log and tell you things that just don't make sense. Like, I don't remember what the call was, but I sent something up there. They sent me back a note. They do it all electronically. And they sent back a note and said, no one else has worked this entity in the last 22 years. You think maybe you made a mistake?
And
it's neat to get that stuff back.
And it's quite helpful.
Several pages of it. I didn't worry about fixing it. Mike fixed his.
North Cook and South Cook. I never know whether these guys are on North Cook or E51 or whatever the T30, what island they're on, and sometimes they're moving back and forth between them day to day. I had about a dozen logged as North Cook that were South Cook and vice versa. They straightened all that out from me. And like Norm, I had KC4, I can't remember, KC4H something other, and they wrote back and said, "You've logged that as Antarctica. We think it was U.S." And I said, "No, I've got the QSL card." So I scanned the card and sent it to them. And Michael, the guy that runs the website, wrote back and said, "Thank you. You've made about a dozen people very happy." They just didn't have documentation. This was an Antarctic operation from early 80s probably, that I uploaded. Any questions? Anything I can tell you? Anything at all? Thanks, guys. I've enjoyed it. Yes, sir.